If you really wanted to know whether or not the entire RAM apocalypse and even the fact that next generation of systems, the Steam Machine, and even current technology is going to be incredibly difficult to buy, own, and even afford, well, yesterday's news should really put a light on things and really give you pause as to what is in fact happening. We've talked about what's been going on with the entire RAM, Nvidia, and even the tech industry on this channel for about the last 6 months. But the thing is, for some weird reason, it continually gets worse every single day. And every single time it's brought up, for some reason, the bar continued to goes lower into the worst possible scenario of owning absolutely nothing in terms of actual hardware. And the problem is, it's not just impacting old technology like HDDs or even SSDs or even things like RAM, graphics cards, and everything else. It's now impacting actual products that have been out for the past 4 years already, but also every upcoming future piece of technology as well. Exponential price increases, insane amounts of greed happening, and nothing more than the entire world's economy hinging on just the back of one specific company, Nvidia. But the problem is, it's going to be impacting even more. Here on the channel, I've been incredibly excited about the Steam Machine. Not because I need a new PC, I honestly don't. I've got a great PC out here right now, but I really want to see what Valve can do with Linux and Proton in almost a mass market appeal, and even go ahead and approach the living room with a small form factor PC, creating more waves in the actual gaming space of more open source projects, and even then providing users an actual alternative to Windows itself. And that's exactly what I've been excited about. The problem is, we've had nothing but bad news ever since the beginning of the year, and it's impacting not just the Steam Machine, but apparently also the Steam Deck as well. And the crazier part is, it's not just Valve being impacted. Apparently, it's also every other major tech company and even Microsoft themselves. Because according to VGC, the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X has been given a price increase of nearly $200 in Japan. The standard ROG Xbox Ally remains the same price, leading to suggestions that the Ally X's faster RAM is the reason for the price increase. I'm going to be incredibly upfront about things. I was given an Xbox ROG Ally X for review, and in that review video, which you can see right about here if you want to check that out, I clearly stated for $1,000 USD, this is a very expensive device, and I really wouldn't recommend it for that price. With the actual issues of Windows, everything else, and the simple complications that this device has, and its over-reliance on Asus Armory Crate, I feel this would have been better priced at around $699, or even then $799 at the most. The problem is, though, is that now we're seeing this device get a $200 increase in one region. And we all know what happens when things go across the world. They impact everybody else at the same time. $1,200 for this is going to be incredibly difficult and a hard pill to swallow. And I definitely wouldn't recommend it at that price either. But the thing is, it has to be simply because of the actual issues with the RAM inside of the device specifically. And sadly enough, in 2026, we still have actual console fanboys celebrating things like this, claiming, haha, it's an Xbox for $1,200, even though they have no idea what's going to be happening, because it's going to happen to them as well, and their favorite piece of plastic too. This isn't the time for fanboy arguments. No, this is the time for going around and telling these major conglomerate corporations to stop trying to screw consumers and remove actual computing power from users themselves. But there's more to the article, so let's go from there. With the article saying this: while the official reason for the price increase has yet to be confirmed, it's believed it could be the latest example of hardware prices rising due to the increased scarcity and cost of fast memory storage. Notably, while the Xbox Ally contains 16 gigs of DDR5 6400 RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage, the Ally X contains 24 gigabytes of faster DDR5 8000 RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. The Xbox Ally X is faster and more sought-after RAM, therefore is likely to be the reason it's received a price increase, while the cheaper model remains at the same price. And that RAM speed alone, especially being DDR5, could be the exact reason why the Xbox ROG Ally X got the price increase and not the actual standard model, which is equivalent to what the Steam Deck is on its own performance. The difference is we've seen this happen across the board. We've been seeing people going back as far as DDR3 to build their PCs to avoid having to deal with all the other actual manufacturing issues and falling back into the AM4 platform, especially on AMD, trying to save themselves some kind of money and squeeze out any kind of performance they can from incredibly old hardware in the technology sense, even though I myself am someone who keeps PC parts around for quite some time, usually about 5 to 10 years usually. So I'm not a big upgrader if you ask me. But that's what I'm talking about. We're discussing actual devices that have already had their long-term agreements signed off by other manufacturers like Micron, SK Hynix, and even Samsung to have that RAM already. Asus is not a small name in the PC gaming space or even the hardware space, and their long-term agreements were probably more than likely readjusted because these companies are making money hand over fist. Hell, 40 to 50% profit increase ever since the previous year because of this is happening right now, and that's the incredibly scary part about all of this. It's going to be impacting not just my Xbox, not just my PC, but it's going to be hitting everything else as well. Even Nintendo has been talking about a possible price increase, and at the same time the PS6 being delayed to possibly 2028, maybe even 2029 because of it. And I think the incredibly scary part about this is the fact that it's impacting not just RAM, but every other piece of device and PC component as well. Take a look. According to WCCF Tech, global GPU prices grew by nearly 15% over 3 months. GeForce RTX 5090, 5080, and 5070 Ti see the largest increases. So we're seeing GPUs increase in price 15% in just 3 months. And this is just the beginning of the year. We're not even into March right now, and things are already going to hell in a handbasket. Yet here we are, people actually thinking these companies and corporations are going to take a loss or sell a product to you at a loss. Those days are over. They're trying to make as much money as they can because they're being put over a barrel by companies like Micron, like Samsung, and SK Hynix. It's gotten so bad that even companies like Dell, HP, and even Apple are moving to Chinese RAM manufacturers like CXMT. With WCCF Tech also saying this, Apple is eyeing a partnership with Chinese memory makers YMTC and CXMT as the big three memory makers adopt hardball tactics. That's right, even if a company as large as Apple is going around and having these issues, you can bet your sweet bippy, there it is, that every other major company itself is going to face these problems as well. Having to deal with the hardball tactics by the big three oligopoly in RAM is not a good sign. And even then, having companies like Apple themselves, Microsoft, and so many others having to redo their long-term agreements is going to impact everyone. And the thing is, you're going to be seeing things get worse before they get better. And I'm not talking about like higher prices. I'm talking about the actual removal of hardware and computing power from you and me, the user. Because according to PC Gamer, many consumer electronics manufacturers will go bankrupt or exit product lines by the end of 2026 due to the AI memory crisis, Phison CEO reportedly says. With the quote from the article saying this, consumer electronics will see a large number of failures from the end of this year to 2026. Many system vendors will go bankrupt or exit product lines due to a lack of memory. Mobile phone production will be reduced by 200 to 250 million units, and PC and TV production will be significantly reduced. Yikes. With Quinn Nelson also on Twitter saying this, you may be aware of the bad news concerning RAM shortages, but not everything is bad news. GPUs are also in short supply. SSDs are 4 times their price this time last year, and hard drive manufacturers already sold out of the rest of the year with shortages expected until 2028. And that is exactly what's going to be happening. We're going to be seeing actual manufacturers of electronic products no longer being able to, in fact, produce those products at all. The cheaper TVs you see in Walmart, the ability to go through and have yourself a wonderful 4K TV, even if it isn't the best in the business for the most amount of money, it's still something to give you some entertainment and some joy. And that's going to be gone, evaporated, because those companies that make those products are going to be leaving the consumer market, either gambling all in on AI like Micron did with their own consumer-facing RAM product line like Crucial, or they're just going to go completely bankrupt. And the more horrifying part about that quote is that it's going to be in fact true with one specific company, one brand that we all in fact enjoy today, and one device that we've all been looking forward to, and that's going to be the Steam Machine and even Valve. And the reason why all of this ties down to in fact Valve and Steam is because 8 days ago we saw on Twitter that the Steam Deck itself, the 256 LCD and the 2 additional OLED models, were in fact unavailable to be purchased on Steam. And that happens sometimes. For a couple of weeks every now and then throughout the last 4 years or so, you'll have a couple of times where you can't buy anything, where they have to reorder everything and then restock it to then resell it to you. And that's pretty normal, right? But the problem is this lasted in fact 8 days, and it's kind of still happening right now. In fact, late last night, it turns out that we found out exactly why, and Valve made a statement. According to VGC News, the Steam Deck is currently out of stock in the US as Valve warns of, quote, intermittent memory and storage shortages. All right, that's it. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. This is going way too far. We are now at the precipice of what I've been talking about the entire time. RAM is going to be a massive factor. It's going to impact everything. A 4-year-old handheld device that no longer has the LCD model, apparently, because once that's sold out, that's gone. It's only going to be available in the OLED model. And the issue is that's incredibly expensive. We had a fantastic entry-level product for PC gaming, and that was the LCD model at around like what, $350, $400, which honestly was a killer fucking deal. And then now we don't even have that anymore. You have to bump up to the 512 OLED or the 1 terabyte OLED at around $700, which is honestly insane. And the issue is that now you can't even buy it because it's not available because of the RAM. Okay. Oh my God, dude, this does not bode well for any device, not just a Steam Deck, not just a Steam Machine, but for any device in the future, or even, dare I say, any device right now. You are going to be seeing price increases again on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles. And at the same time, you're going to be seeing Xbox continually push the everything is an Xbox. People were confused about the marketing. Well, it looks like Microsoft were 10 fucking steps ahead. Oh, everything's an Xbox because pretty soon you won't be able to afford one. So you'll be forced to go ahead and play on your phone or on your device or on your tablet and stream everything while owning nothing and pretending to be happy while you get raked over the coals every month for $30 fucking a month. It just really angers me at the fact that the one thing people have in this life right now that really enjoy this channel is video games. And even then, that's being stripped away from us. But the thing is, there's more in the article. So let's go from there. With the article saying this, users have been reporting at various times over the past couple of weeks that the US Steam store often shows all Steam Deck models as sold out, and that while they do sometimes become available for sale, again, the sold out signs are showing far more frequently than usual. Valve has posted a notice on the Steam store informing players that Steam Deck availability may continue to fluctuate due to the ongoing issue with memory costs, saying, quote, Steam Deck OLED may be out of stock intermittently in some regions due to memory and storage shortages. The company statement reads, Steam Deck LCD 256GB is no longer in production and once sold out will no longer be available. So there you go. It's cooked. It's absolutely cooked. If people thought that only PC components were going to be hit by this, well, clearly you don't know what actually goes into console manufacturing or in fact any sort of component for technology. Every single piece of tech and device that you own right now has RAM. It all is part of it, and they're all being either increased in price or they're going to be shut down and no longer available. The entry port for the Steam Deck LCD is in fact gone. I'm lucky to have a launch model model for that device, and I was able to buy an OLED simply because I had a friend of mine yell at me for about 45 minutes telling me, you need to buy an OLED, get one right now, do it before the issue happens. You're making content about it. You need to buy one right now because you know what's going to happen. And you know what? They were right. They were absolutely right. And I hate spending any kind of money whatsoever. But the thing is, if I didn't buy this OLED, I would be shit out of luck. And that's the issue that I want to bring up right now. We're going to be facing an absolute crisis happening in the space. And the big problem is that this entire thing is rippling across the entire industry. Not only are we seeing prices rise exponentially, but we're also seeing massive amounts of panic buying. I did a panic purchase, and I was thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, I got the last chopper out of goddamn Vietnam. That's how I felt with this fucking thing. And I'm sure that's how people feel right now with everything else they've purchased. But the thing is, it's going to get worse because this is also going to be impacting us for quite some time. The article continues, in fact, by saying this. Analysts and tech companies are both predicting that the situation could have drastic effects for the entire tech industry, with companies such as Apple and Tesla warning that production will be constrained in the future. Bloomberg reported this week that Sony is considering holding back the release of the PS6 to 2028 or 2029, given that the bottleneck for memory production could have a large impact on the availability of cost of new hardware. Should the situation continue, analysts say further console price increases are also expected as manufacturers look to absorb less of a financial hit from the growing cost of components. With Yosoy Ellie on Twitter saying this, okay, this shit is not funny anymore. We generally gotta destroy AI development and never look back. That's right, wake up, samurai! We've got a city to burn! This entire thing is getting out of control, and the fact that it's impacting everyone across every aspect is the scarier part. And my biggest concern isn't just for PC gaming, isn't just for console gaming, it's for what I talked about earlier with the Steam machine. This thing could in fact hit the $800 to $1,000 price mark, seeing as how it is being priced like a PC since it basically is one. But the problem is it's going to be impacting everything, and the floor of everything is going to raise up, pushing people out of the availability of purchasing simple hardware that used to be incredibly affordable, usually around $400 to $500 just about a year and a half ago, and now being almost inaccessible to anyone with a regular bank account and even a fucking job. Mischief on Twitter said this: "We are never getting the Steam machine." My brother in Christ, I am incredibly worried about the entire health of the gaming industry and everything that's going to be happening moving forward. We are moving to the precipice, almost the beginning stages of owning nothing and being happy, and it's the worst possible way of things to be going forward right now. The entire industry literally doing everything they can to avoid absorbing any cost, yet selling to the highest bidder, and also getting their back blown out by 3 companies, creating an oligopoly controlling 99% of the RAM on the entire planet, isn't good for anybody. I'm actually kind of hoping that China in fact does flood the entire market with CXMT RAM and push everybody out and force people to say, I guess you got to lower the prices now and deal with it on that end. Spyware be damned. I really don't care anymore at this point. Go ahead, look at my files. It's all Futanari anyways, and video games. Who gives a shit? I'm at the point where I'm just going to be okay with that in the first place, because clearly I just want to have technology to be able to use and hold in my goddamn hands. Here's Jimmy Champagne of Deck Ready saying this: memory shortages are to blame for the Steam Deck stock issues. Steam Deck OLED may be out of stock intermittently in some regions due to memory and storage shortages, and the Steam Deck LCD 256 is no longer available for production, and once it's sold out, it will no longer be available. Bummer. And you know what? I like Jimmy. He's a nice guy. But the problem is, I'm not. I'm a little bit angry about the entire thing, and the fact that it's fucking with Valve and screwing with PC gamers is a massive issue and concern. Look, here's the deal. We have to be able to ride this out, and clearly things are going to get worse before they in fact even somewhat get better. And I feel like the big problem is we're going to be seeing major companies like Nvidia, Microsoft, and etc. push people towards streaming services as well and charging you by the minute like we used to do with America Online. Remember that? Going to the grocery store, having to sneak in there and then rip open magazines to get AOL time discs so that way you can go ahead and go home to go on Antagonist Gaming on AOL and then talk shit to somebody in the chat room? Yeah, I brought that core memory back now, didn't I? Look, I'm going to be incredibly honest about this. If you are on the fence about upgrading your PC, do it now. Do it right now. If you're on the fence about getting a Steam Deck, just do it right now. The second they become available, just get it and be done with it, because clearly this is going to be bad for the next couple of years. If you want to buy your console, do it now. And the craziest part is, it turns out the people that were early adopters were the ones that were skating away with less of the actual cost overall. And things are going to keep increasing in price over time until this entire bubble pops. And when it does, it's going to be catastrophic. You're either stuck doing one of two things: upgrading now and buying now, or waiting for the whole thing to burst and potentially owning nothing in the end, because they're sure as shit trying to shove AI into the face of everything. And if you think that Valve is going to be the only gaming company to be impacted by this, well, honey, you've got a big storm coming. Because it's going to be hurting every single other major manufacturer and company as well. You're going to be seeing a lot of pieces shift on the board real fast out of nowhere, and my console sales won't be the standard metric moving forward anymore. It'll more than likely be monthly active users when they want you to sign up to their service, because even PlayStation's Lin Tao said it herself. They're going to monetize people in other ways rather than increasing the price of the console. So get ready to pay more for everything. But you know what? Besides all of that, I want to hear what you guys got to say in the comment section down below. Are you going to wait for this to pass? Are you going to upgrade now? Or have you already begun your entire streaming catalog? I want to hear what you've got to say. And speaking about what you got to say, here's a top comment from yesterday's video for the comment of the day. With Worst B saying this: "Thank God for my giant backlog of games. Time to finally play some of those." Worst B, I think that's exactly what people are going to be in fact doing. They already have a massive back catalog of games, or the fact that those games can literally run on a toaster or even a low-powered Steam Deck for an incredibly long period of time is what I think people are going to be doing. The gaming crash isn't going to happen because game companies got too greedy. No, the game crash is going to be happening because no one will be able to afford anything in the future. But as always, I want to hear what you guys got to say, and maybe you'll be in the comment of the day. If you want to see more of this kind of content, though, more PC port reviews, gaming news like this, hot takes on the gaming industry, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 109K, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by about 800 people with TTS. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. You don't want to miss it. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!